Talking by 9:35 when we will be switching on the DAB, local DAB transmitters that are serving Oxford, and that will allow 300,000 people to receive local DAB services in the Oxford area for the first time. So it's an important event, it's a very exciting event. And I think what's significant about it is it's a very unique collaboration between commercial radio stations and the BBC. So here we are at the Museum of the History of Science in Oxford, and cheek to jowl we have BBC Radio Oxford, we have Heart Thames Valley, we have Jack FM, all broadcasting their breakfast shows. As far as I know, there haven't been any fights so far. Everyone seems to be getting on very well. If anything, I imagine their programming has been overlapping a bit, but it is a great morning, and I think it's a very exciting morning. You can feel the energy in the room. So I'd like to welcome all of you for coming along and being part of this special event. I also want to introduce the special guest behind me. First of all, we're going to hear from him in a second, and he's going to actually press the switch. Is the Minister, Ed Vaizey, Minister of Culture, Communications and the Creative Industries. Ed, welcome. Great to have you here this morning. I'd also like to welcome Ian Walker from Jack FM, also Marianne from BBC Radio Oxford, and Gareth from Heart. It's great to have all of you here, and thank you so much for the work you've done to make today possible. And I know that you share my excitement about what this means for local radio in Oxford. I'd also like to introduce Paul Eaton, who's actually the key man here, because actually he's going to make sure A, the transmitters get turned on, and B, that they work. And because he represents Arqiva, who's responsible for the transmitter build here and for actually switching them on. So I'm just going to ask him to say a couple of words before we introduce the Minister to press the switch. So Paul.
Thanks, Paul. No pressure then. I hope it works. I'm Paul Eaton, I'm Director of Digital Radio at Arqiva. Arqiva provides the transmission networks for pretty much all of the radio broadcasters in the UK, both analog and digital. And I've been doing this job pretty much for the last 10 years. So we switched on a few of these in the past, but not for quite a while now, so it's great to get started again. I think, just to say a few words about Ed, when Ed moved into this post 2 or 3 years ago, I think we were looking for a leader. We were looking for somebody who really wanted to push digital radio, and Ed has been that person. And under his leadership, a lot has been pulled together in the last few years. We signed a memorandum of understanding amongst the industry to get a really clear roadmap for where we're going with digital radio, and this is the start of that road. For us, we're launching other multiplexes in the outskirts of London, in Hertfordshire, Bedfordshire, Buckinghamshire and Northamptonshire early next year. So today it's Oxford, and there's great surroundings here, very apt with this collection just outside there. So can I just thank our partners in this venture, Jack FM, and also the other broadcasters here today as well, the BBC and Heart. So hopefully it'll all work when Ed touches the button, but we'll see.
Thanks, Paul.
So back to you.
Right, just a couple of things before Ed comes on, which is just to say that today is the first of a first phase that will build local DAB coverage out from the 66% of the UK it is today to 90%, which I think is very exciting. So following the Oxfordshire switch-on, which we're witnessing today, there'll be 12 more switch-ons over the next 18 months. As we expand coverage for local DAB services, which people love so much, out across the UK. So I think today is very significant, not just for Oxford, but also I think for the rest of the UK as well, because it shows a clear direction we are on digital radio with DAB. And with that, Paul just mentioned that he'd been a great leader for digital radio. He has. I'd like to ask Ed to say a few words, and then we'll keep a careful eye on the clock to make sure at 9:35 that he's pressing the switch. So, Ed.
Well, looking at my clock, it looks like I'm going to have to speak for 10 minutes. So let me just tell you the story of my life. I was at Oxford University. It's great to be here, and since everyone's been so nice to each other, let me praise the outstanding leadership that Ford has shown in terms of digital radio. I think Ford has been too kind to me. Ford has led the radio switchover programme, working with great companies like Arqiva and all our major radio companies as well. And we've reached a good stage, I think. Digital radio has grown organically, as it were, and it's, I think, getting a place in people's hearts now. Oxfordshire tops the league table in terms of households owning digital radios outside London. But actually across the country, something like 40 to 50% of households now do have digital radios. A lot of cars, new cars are now being launched with digital radio fitted as standard. That obviously includes the Mini built in Cowley, so that's giving you another Oxfordshire leadership angle. And also, it's possible now to get cheap digital radios and also to convert your FM radio in your car very cost effectively. So we're reaching a critical point for digital radio, and today's event marks, I think, one of those critical turning points, because obviously we're fast approaching equivalence in terms of national coverage for digital radio. So if you listen to the national radio stations on FM, you can now listen to them pretty much anywhere on digital. So we haven't reached that kind of equivalence with local radio, and obviously I know from my own radio listening habits, people want to be able to switch between the national stations and also their much loved local stations. And here in Oxfordshire, it's Radio Oxford, Heart and Jack FM, the most decorated radio station in the country. By the way, Jack FM, did you know that? And so they want that seamless listening experience. So that is what this today is going to bring to Oxfordshire. It's going to start with 2/3 of Oxfordshire, and then it's going to roll out to the whole of Oxfordshire by the end of 2013. And obviously, it's going to be replicated, as was said earlier, across the country, in different parts of the country. And that's going to make, I think, a big impact on digital radio. And I also like the fact that we're launching this just before Christmas, because as you know, we now have, I think, 4 more shopping days if we include today, till Christmas. So it's really important, I think, that all of us leave here this morning and go to our nearest department store and buy a digital radio for those people we hold close in our hearts, to give them the joy and the gift of digital radio. So that's perfectly timed, as usual, Oxfordshire's conversion to local radio. It's perfectly timed for Christmas. So it's a delight to be here. I'm very excited about digital radio. It is the future of radio, and it is growing in momentum. And today is a very important part of that momentum and of that journey. Thank you very much. You now have to talk amongst yourselves about the
I was just going to ask a couple of the. Just going to ask. Thank you very much indeed. Would you keep needing to warn me when we're getting close? So I'm just going to ask Jack, Marianne, and Gav just to say a couple of words of introduction to themselves and their services, and I'm going to hand first over to Ian.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Ford, and thank you, Mr. Ed Vasey, for being here today. And I think this is an historic moment for UK radio, notwithstanding the fact that we're launching the first DAB multiplex here in Oxfordshire for over 7 years. I believe call it maybe actually 8 years. 8 years, which is an historic moment and feat in itself. But this is great for local radio, and will give our consumers, and more importantly for Heart, Thames Valley and global radio and our business, a chance for our local advertisers to reach more people. Of course, we're switching on 2 transmitters today, a 3rd transmitter by the end of next year, Christmas of 2013, and a rollout of a further 7 transmitters to get more coverage over the following years after that. So again, thank you very much, Jack FM and my team. Delighted to be here, and I think to be working with Global Radio and the BBC this morning. I think this is another first for UK radio, and I'm absolutely delighted that Ed will be making that switch on in the next couple of minutes. Thank you.
Marianne, from the BBC perspective.
Yes, Marianne Bell, the editor in Oxford. A bit dangerous, I would say, to be a low events at all. We might not shut us up in time. But I just want to celebrate the content that was made for Oxfordshire. There is some fantastic radio that we make here in Oxfordshire for our audience. Audiences are absolutely at the heart of what we do. The fact that now more people in Oxfordshire will be able to listen to local services alongside network radio is absolutely vitally important. So thank you to everybody who's been part of today, and I shall hand over to my colleague at Heart.
I'm Gareth James, Pro Controller of Heart, and one of the benefits I think we've found is that we've been delivering Heart on digital across Berkshire and North Hampshire for the last couple of years, and listeners really appreciated the extra track listing information and the extra digital quality sound as well. So it's fantastic for us to bring Heart, along with 2 new stations for Oxfordshire as well. Global Radio will be launching Capital and Gold across Oxfordshire, so an extra 300,000 listeners across Oxfordshire will be able to tune in to those stations. And really, I think I'm really proud of today, working with Ian and Jack and Marianne at the BBC, to be able to work together and offer listeners more choice, fundamentally, across Oxfordshire.
Thank you. And I will take just a couple more minutes of your time. What do you say, Mark?
It's okay.
We're ready to go? Okay, we are ready to go, which is very exciting. So I'm going to ask Ed to come back to the front. What do you make of that, Minister?
Well, I gather that this whole thing is a year early, but now we've advanced it by 4 minutes. Continue to break ground.
So if
I press this, something's going to happen or not?
The Minister is now going to press this switch, which is a very sophisticated piece of...
Take yourself back to Marconi's early demonstrations of wireless technology.
Tread very carefully, and what this will do will switch on the 2 transmitters in Oxford that will bring the local DAB signal to 300,000 people. So, Minister, I would ask you to switch on the Oxford local DAB services.
My hand is actually shaking. Do you want to do a countdown?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch on. We need to demonstrate whether we need a 10-second delay. You've got to keep it on.
Radio Oxford.
You're going to demonstrate all of the...
I'm probably not the right person to do this.
So live demonstration always a risk.
I'm probably allowed to do this at home.
No, I can understand.
Yeah, you appreciate we're in a basement.
Yeah, we take off over like
Just start broadcasting yourself.
and we're live.
Yeah. Alright, there we go. So if you do get a DAB digital radio set for us to check, well done. You've just turned in to, and then listen to me next door, by the way, so I can hear myself in. Hello, press conference. So, anyway, so that's DAB digital radio across Oxfordshire. Can we have a cheer for the press conference group?
One second.